I'm a little bit sick, but here I am. Hello everybody and welcome back. So today I'm going to be talking to you about the pros and cons of Nexplanon and my experience with having it so far. I've had it for about a year now, which I didn't even realize until that second. If you are looking into birth control, obviously first you should consult your doctor. I am not a doctor. I cannot tell you whether this is the right choice for you. Personally, I had a friend who had also recently gotten it implanted in her arm. If you don't know, that's where it goes, birth control in your arm. And I went to my doctor and I was like, I want this. And she was like, cool, you can do that. And then I did it. So it all depends on your body. Sometimes they won't let you do it if you have certain like blood conditions or anything like that. So talk to your doctor first. You won't be able to get this without talking to a doctor. So either way, you gotta talk to someone, sadly. So some general info that like I know at least about Nexplanon is that usually it lasts 3 years. It is a hormonal birth control and it is an implant that goes into your arm. So it's like an IUD or a hormonal IUD, but instead of going up your cooch, it goes in your arm. So you don't have any of those painful cramps, or you might. We'll get to that later. The basic reason why I wanted to get on this birth control was because I was so sick and tired of taking pills every single day and having to wake up at the same time or take them at the same time every single day, because that's how they're most effective. If you did not know, make sure you know that. But it was a pain and I didn't want to do it anymore. And I just wanted to be able to be protected and not think about it and not look at anything and not have to remember to take pills every single day. Even though I take vitamins, this is like a lot more high risk, so I'd rather not have to worry about it. So some things that I worried about before I went on Nexplanon was that I have had a history of having really bad period cramps, so I wasn't sure if that was going to help them because my pill birth control had helped that, but I didn't know if going on to this new birth control would change any of that or reverse any of the effects that the pill birth control had, so I was a little hesitant about that. But another reason why I wanted to use the arm implant rather than getting an IUD is because of all the horror stories, bad things I have heard about IUDs being implanted. Just the research that I did on it did not make me feel comforted. Especially Miss Megan Makeup has a video about it, or Megan Hughes as she is known now here on YouTube, and her IUD like either fell out or like got stuck up in there or something happened, and I was like, no thank you. But don't let me put the fear factor into you. If you're really interested in getting an IUD, definitely look into it. Figure out what's right for you. There are also options that are not hormonal, so that's really nice if you're looking for a non-hormonal form, because if you don't know, like the hormones can mess with your body and can throw off your own hormones. So I would eventually like to get off of hormonal birth control. Right now that's not really like a realistic thing for me, but yeah, if that's something that you're interested in, you don't want hormonal birth control, then check that out. But just with my history of having really bad period cramping, and I know there's like a lot of cramping that goes along with an IUD, I didn't want to risk it for the biscuit, thank you. But as I've basically stated, do your research, look into what's best for you, and look at things like this where they have pros and cons and figure out what is going to work for you and your body and your needs. Okay, so we will get into the pros and cons. right now. So I'm gonna start with the pros, and then we're gonna move to the cons. So the pros is that most times I don't get my period every single month. So usually I get my period every other month, and that's just like how it's been working for my body. In the cons, I will get into all the things that can go wrong, but it's nice not having a period every month. It is kind of nerve-wracking though, because when you are sexually active and you are using this kind of birth control, obviously you should still be using condoms, especially if you're with someone who you don't know and you don't know their sexual history and you don't know what's going on with them. But having your period every month is something that's like, great, I'm not pregnant, cool, we can move on. When you don't get your period every single month, it can be kind of nerve-wracking, but it also gives you an opportunity to stay in tune with your body and recognize any warning signs that could happen. I'm not speaking from experience, but sometimes it does freak me out a little bit. Another pro is that it's so easy. There's Nexplanon commercials where the lady is like in line for going on the plane and she's like, did I forget to take my pill? And then she's like, just kidding, it's in my arm. But for real, it's really, really convenient to not have to remember to take a pill every day. And my next pro was that I don't have to take a pill every day, which I've kind of already talked about. But for me, I'm someone who has a lot of issues with taking like vitamins, medication, so not throwing up is great. It is also more accurate than the pills. So I believe that it is like 99 point something %, but it is more accurate than the pill. I believe it's one of the most accurate. I'm not sure if an IUD is more accurate, but it is right up there above the pill. So it is actually more accurate than you taking your pills every day. And finally, it lasts 3 years, so you don't have to think about getting a renewal for your medication every month. You don't have to think about having to go to your doctor and talk to them so that they can renew your prescription so you can get birth control again, because those are all things that I have struggled with for however long I've been on birth. It's been a long time. Now comes the cons. So these are different for everyone's body is what I will say. Some people struggle really hard with the side effects of Nexplanon. Some people don't have any side effects at all, and some people fall like me smack dab in the middle. So there is a possibility of constant bleeding. When I heard that, it kind of took me aback a little bit because I was like, that's a lot. Like, I'm here to only have my period once a month. I really would not like to have my period constantly for however long I'm on this birth control. And because it is rather new, like it's gone through its testing phases, it's gone through all of that, and so it's like just come on the market as a more diverse sample of people getting it, if that makes any sense. It still has some bugs and it still has some tweaks that it's going to have to it. So even now, a year after me getting it, they may have fixed things a little bit more to where something that you would get today is going to be more effective and have less side effects than what I'm getting. I'm not sure though. But I have had friends who have had to end up going on pills on top of being on Nexplanon in order to reduce the bleeding, and they definitely haven't had to do it like the whole period of time that they've been on Nexplanon, but during the beginning to get it like back down to normal, they had to. It really depends on your body. It depends on so many different factors. Like, one of my friends had that problem. My other friend hasn't had her period since she got Nexplanon probably over a year ago. So it really depends on your body, it depends on your cycle, it depends on a lot of things, and you're not going to know how it's going to affect you until you actually get on it. That being said, you also shouldn't be discouraged because everything has like a grace period of you're on this medication for 3 months before it actually normalizes. And when I first went on birth control, it took probably a year to a year and a half to get my period normal. Another disadvantage is the fact that personally I get 2-week-long periods. So what I mean by that is not full-on bleeding for 2 weeks. I'd say I bleed like a normal period for probably 5 to 7 days, anywhere between then. And then I have spotting for probably 4 days in the beginning, 4 days at the end, like some kind of, it changes every single time, but I spot for a really long time, and it's very annoying as someone who's trying to like be zero waste and not buy disposable pads, but I also have to wash all of these reusable pads so often that it gets annoying. But yeah, I have like 2-week-long periods, which kind of like makes up for the fact that I don't have my period every single month, but it doesn't feel like it. I also get cramping when I don't have my period. So the time where I would normally have my period in between, because I'm skipping a month, during that time I get excruciatingly painful cramps. Like really bad. Like when I was in probably 6th or 7th grade, I used to have cramps so bad that I was debilitated and couldn't get out of my bed, and I would toss and turn back and forth on my bed to relieve the pain. It's happening again. So the good thing is that I don't have a period during that time, so I'm not bleeding, but I'm in pain. And then when I actually bleed, I'm not in pain. It's not really that great of a trade-off, but I don't know. I'm not sure if it's still working through my body, because I've now only been on it for a year, and like the first few months that did not happen. I don't know. My body is weird. And then the last con is that it is not paid for by some insurance. So usually preventative birth control is covered by most insurance companies. That's changing now because of the state of our government, but that is a talk for another day. But personally, we had to pay, I think, $700 or something ridiculous like that to get it installed, because it's supposed to be covered, but because I hadn't met my deductible yet, even though it is a preventative birth control, and when I was taking pills, they were paying for my pills, I'm still salty about it. As you can tell, they wouldn't pay for it to get installed into my body. So that's just something that you have to look into and have to think about as well if you can't afford to pay that much on your own. Yeah, so that's it for the pros and cons, and then I just have some like general extra information that I forgot. So I have been on birth control since middle school. I wrote that down here because I definitely wouldn't have remembered it if I didn't write it down. But yeah, I started, I want to say 7th grade or 6th grade, maybe 7th grade, because I started my period in 6th grade, so probably 7th grade or 8th grade. I was on birth control because of my horrible cramping, so I have been on birth control for a very long time. Yeah, and then I've been on Nexplanon for a year. And my cycle is still random and still adjusting, and I have no idea what's happening, and I try to track it with like my little cycle tracker on my phone, and they don't know what's going on, and they always predict it wrong, so who knows. Yeah, that is just my general information and pros and cons. So if you guys have any questions, please ask them down below. There might be some people who are watching this video who also have experienced Nexplanon. I will just say that like everyone's body is going to be different, so don't be afraid to use Nexplanon, because your body might not react the way my body has reacted, but also like look into it and figure out what's going to be right for you. Alright, I hope you guys have enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe down below for more if you haven't already. If you'd like, you can check out my previous video on this side of the screen and my previous vlog on that side of the screen. I hope you guys are having a wonderful day. If you're sick, get better, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.